have the people who preside over the House, in this case the speakers, not be involved in active politicking over the weekend. And that is this line that I was taking. And if for any good reason that I have offended Honorable Wakoli and his party leader, I want to apologize. But to say that I'm reflecting on that. Mr. Speaker, still talking about parliamentary democracy. Mr. Speaker, when you go to National Assembly, and I think even here, there are words on the door that says, for the welfare of society and a just government of the people. Those words are not there for nothing. They mean something. They talk about welfare of the society. The society is the country. The just government of the people. That should be the words or the phrases that are supposed to guide us in this house. The moment we divert from that and start engaging as political parties or as an appendage of state, we lose it completely. So I think, for me, that would be an important thing. Mr. Speaker, this House has done public participation. But public participation in this country means nothing, Mr. Speaker. They did public participation over housing bill. They did public participation over the first, the finance bill 2023, and even the recent one, finance 2023-24. But the views of Kenyans were not factored in the final report that was presented to the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, these are the things that annoy the people and make us look bad. So even as we are reflecting, I hope that we will have a committee or we'll have some people sitting down and discussing how do we reset Parliament to be what it was and not what we are having now. So, Mr. Speaker, I started by saying that the problem is here, and that is why I'm addressing Parliament. Now let me go to the presidency. Let me go to the presidency, which is the second problem. Mr. Speaker, the presidency must understand that they are in power. They are no longer campaigning. We know they gave us promises. Some of those promises have not been implemented. Kenyans are patient. They are waiting. But don't continue giving promise after promise. Every day you wake up, new promise has come. And sometimes those promises are not consistent. They are not consistent. And Kenyans now, when the Kenyans start having doubt in their leader, when their leader speaks and they say, we know he's not going to say the truth, then we have a problem. So my view is that the presidency needs to understand, and this is what Honorable Halwale said, there are many institutions that can talk on behalf of the president in government. He doesn't have to talk on everything. He doesn't have to appear all over. President Kibaki led this country from his home. I have met 3 ministers in President Kibaki's government who tell me that in the 10 years that Kibaki was the president, he only called them twice. He only engaged ministers when they go to the cabinet and when you are presenting a memo. But outside that, he would not call you easily. So we have a problem. And I hope the president is listening to me. That, Mr. President, you need to change. And the earlier you change, the better. Talk less, appear less in public, and manage your promises. And that way, Kenya, we will not have this problem. Court orders must be obeyed. I mean, when you tell us that mambo matatu, and you threaten people, you don't obey court orders, we have a problem as a country. When you engage the country at an international level, in agreements that hurt the people of Kenya, we have a problem. Because the constitution is very clear. Treaties must involve parliament. They must go through parliament, Mr. Speaker. That is not happening now. So, Mr. President, wherever you are, if you are listening to me as a leader elected by the people of Vihiga, I want to tell you, Mr. President, even as we reflect as a Senate, we also want you to reflect. And members have talked about change in government. I want to say, Mr. President, I think the first thing you need to do, assent to the IBC bill that is before you. The National Assembly has processed the bill. The Senate has processed the bill. The Speaker now has given a report from the National Assembly. The next thing, this evening, Mr. President, sign the IBC into law so that we start having an IBC in place. Mr. Speaker, overhaul of the cabinet. Most of the cabinet members are incompetent. Cabinet secretaries, most of them are incompetent. They are very incompetent. Today, you will hear a cabinet secretary making a pronunciation on a matter that is touching on another ministry. And you wonder, is this government not coordinating? The matter of reduction of government ministry, I think is logical. The number of principal secretaries is actually bloated. And I think it's important for the numbers to be reduced. Mr. Speaker, on another topic of budget making. Mr. Speaker, we know the President has written back to the National Assembly, referring back the finance bill. But if you read Article 115, it talks about Parliament. It talks about Parliament. We have been kicked out of the process of budget making as a Senate, unconstitutionally. And Senator Umtata has this matter in court. If you read the Constitution, it's very clear that Parliament includes both the Senate and the National Assembly. That referral of Article 115 talks about Parliament. As a demonstration of good faith, Mr. President, retract your referral to the National Assembly and send it to both houses, the Senate and the National Assembly. Because that is what the Constitution says. And even in budget making process, Article 249(3) talks about Parliament shall allocate adequate funds to enable each commission and independent offices to operate. Why have we overlooked this? When you insist on Article 109(5) that talks about introduction of the bill in the National Assembly, that is just introducing. Article 109(3) talks about considered, and considered appears in many parts of the Constitution. So, Mr. Speaker, part of the problem is that the process of budget making, including finance bill, must involve the Senate. So that if National Assembly does not do the right thing, Senate, a house of reason, will tell them no. And will tell them no in a big way, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me also talk about public debt. I think it's important for us to audit the public debt. Let us know the exact debt that we have. Let people not be telling us we have this debt and we don't have any statement of debt. We don't have any audit report. I think this should be one of the major proposals to come from this. And even as we audit our debt, let us think about institutions which are consuming public funds and they are unconstitutional. First ladies, second ladies, sijui prime cabinet secretary's wife. We all have wives and we were elected. If you are elected and you are earning a salary, let your wife use your salary to do the things he's doing. A husband. Let that money come from your salary. Let us not be told that we elect